Busy guy. We don't get all kinds of chances to talk to IUP President Michael Driscoll, so when we do, we really put him to the grindstone here. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Dr. Driscoll, good morning. How about this day today, huh?
It's a beautiful day. I guess I'm ready for the grindstone, Todd. Great to be with you as always.
I'll go easy. I'll go easy on you. Earlier this week, the announcement that IUP, of course, everything is subject to change, but IUP is planning to open for full semester, just like in the old days, with some modifications, of course, for the fall semester. And it takes an awful lot of work to get to that point, and you folks have been putting it in here, haven't you?
I think you're exactly right. The care that our students have taken, our faculty and staff, and I'll say our communities as well, to help us learn how to be safe in these times is just remarkable. Of course, the progress that we've seen in our numbers, in our student behavior, our ability to do more testing, and the vaccine starting to have an impact are all parts of our decision. We all want to be back together. I can't say it'll be exactly the same this coming fall as it was a year ago or a little more than a year ago in the fall, just because we'll have to continue to be careful, and all the science says that. But we're really excited to get back to that sense of normal with the usual kinds of activities and students in classrooms and being able to work together and learn from each other at a scale we haven't been able to do for about a year now.
Certainly there have been some wobbles for IUP, just as there have been for everybody else, as we have been in a continual education process about COVID-19 and how to handle it and deal with it. And you are learning every day, just as everybody else is. When students would return to class, and maybe there will be changes still since between now and then, but when they return to class, they're going to find basically the same campus, but maybe with a little bit more space?
That's exactly right. We have done some things to at least temporarily alter our class schedule so that there's a little more time between classes, for example, to allow us to do a little more sanitizing of rooms. I expect that we'll see fewer students in the classrooms just to keep that safe distancing as best we can. Masks likely to still be required based on what we know today, that sort of thing. But it'll feel very different than it does today, just given the number of students that will be able to be back and moving around. And hopefully that'll help both enliven their experiences, but also further enliven our community and all the challenges we faced as businesses together as well. Having the students here is a key part of our economy and the feel of our community, so we'll look forward to that.
It has been interesting to me to watch whether it's hearings in Harrisburg or public comments by Chancellor Greenstein or by others about academics at IUP and the other state-owned universities throughout this pandemic, and how with so much learning being done at a distance and from home, the questions about, well, is it the same education? Are kids doing well? Are students doing well, the young men and young women studying at IUP, as well as they would do on campus? There are a lot of questions and a lot of analysis, I would guess, that has to be done in order to determine just where you stand with those students, isn't there?
Yeah, that's a great observation, a great question. We were just looking at some data earlier this week about students' performance this past fall of 20, and students are challenged. There's no question of that. It's very, very difficult. They've stepped up. Our faculty and staff have stepped up in remarkable ways, and when we look at those numbers, overall, student academic performance in fall of 20 looks an awful lot like student academic performance in fall of 19 and fall of 18. So in spite of the challenges, in spite of all the difficulties of being alone, if you will, and engaging remotely, people have stepped up, and they're still doing great academic work, and it says something about the character and quality of our students. Now, there are individual students, certainly, who have their own challenges and have really struggled, and we've seen some increase in the demand for our mental health support for our students and things like that. But again, those numbers in the main, the averages are about the same, that sort of thing. And we actually were really pleased to see that a higher percentage of freshmen from fall 20 are now enrolled in spring 21 than we've seen in quite some time. It's, I think, over 87%, maybe almost 88% of students from the fall are back. Those new freshmen, are what I'm talking about, and those are the students we specifically invited back physically for fall semester because we knew they would benefit from that extra support. Still digging into the details, but we think that something wonderful happened for that group in particular.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because there was some testimony in Harrisburg a couple of weeks ago about how state-owned universities such as IUP are anticipating that the students coming in the next class, the class of freshmen that will start this coming fall, might be lagging behind some of their past student freshmen because of the way that school has had to be done in the last 12, 15 months. And so is IUP making any sort of preparations in that respect?
That's very important to consider. IUP, of course, has always tried to meet our students where they are and give them what they need. Our faculty in particular have gone through a number of professional development exercises and trainings to help them use technology more effectively. Also, we have some new good support for our students, both in terms of how to survive, how to engage in college generally, but also specifically in the presence of this strange environment for the last year. And that'll benefit current students, but it'll also benefit students that are joining us for the first time this fall.
Talking with IUP President Dr. Michael Driscoll this morning, I noted in Chancellor Greenstein's blog over the weekend a couple of times where he mentioned IUP and efforts during the state system redesign, efforts in the diversity field as well, and mentioning IUP with great credit and saying that the university seems to be right out in front doing what needs to be done in order to ensure both the survivability of the university and its obvious importance to the communities, but also to ensure that the rural students and minority students are getting a fair shot at an education and a first-class education.
Well, I appreciate the Chancellor's recognition of what some really incredible people at IUP are doing every day. We are coming to the end, of course, of Black History Month, and there have been a number of incredible events and activities. I think there are a few more that people could drop in on in the next few days if they chose to do so, virtually drop in on probably. I'm really pleased with how we've addressed both learning together about what free speech is about and the responsibilities that come with the right of free speech and how we treat each other. I know that we're still doing a number of great trainings and activities to help us all learn how to disagree where we disagree, but to do that with respect for each other, something that seems more than a little lacking in our world today. In light of the horrific events starting really getting visibility last summer with Mr. Floyd's death and going forward, people have stepped up in virtual events, activities to connect students with each other, bring students of color together with those students that may come from a less diverse area or background, and help them learn from each other and about each other. And we're about learning, and I think the hope for the future is exactly that, learning how to be with each other. Sometimes we'll disagree. Let's do that with respect and care, recognizing that all of us come to the table with something to add to the mix. It's a great place to be. It's hard work, but it's absolutely critical work for the future.
A couple of more minutes with IUP President Michael Driscoll this morning. I don't know that you were surprised, but I know you had to be very pleased with the Imagine Unlimited campaign. Boy, that set records that, well, we certainly didn't expect that you would blast away every expectation, but certainly it has to be very pleasing to you and everybody at IUP.
It is remarkably pleasing and also humbling for all of us to recognize how many people care about this place, this institution, and had great experiences here and want to make sure that students in the future have those same kinds of great experiences. To go beyond our very, we thought, aggressive initial goal of $40 million for the campaign, to raise that to 75, and then to get to over $81 million 6 months earlier than we'd planned, just shows how important IUP has been in so many people's lives and the generosity of those incredible people. We have work to do to meet their expectations going forward, and we sure are going to do that. It's an incredible place to be.
Yeah, I said to my wife, I said, this is sort of like watching the pressure gauge on the pressure cooker in the summer. You want to get to 11 pounds of pressure, and we shot right by that. And I either need to get a bigger pot or turn the heat down a little bit. But everybody seems to have gotten on board with Imagine Unlimited.
It is. People have really bought into the vision of helping our students be successful with strong academic programs. Certainly diversity, equity, and inclusion is among the themes of the campaign, and people supported that in great measure. And, of course, centerpiece is the new science building, Kopchik Hall, which is under construction right now in the center of campus next to the Oak Grove. So that'll be a major addition to our academic experience for our students and for our faculty. Absolutely will.
Well, come fall, we'll have crowded campus again, we certainly hope. And until that time, we'll just keep plugging along. And on a beautiful day like today, we might even see more people walking about the Oak Grove than normal. President Driscoll, thanks so much for visiting with us today.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Enjoy this. And everyone remember to wash their hands. And we'll stay in this and get those students back.
That's a good plan. Have a great day today.
Take care.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM, 1 FM and AM.